Hello everyone, my name is Joshua. This is the 76th video on my video journal series. Today's date is Saturday the 25th of April 2026, and it's a very important day here in Australia because it is ANZAC Day. Now for my international viewers, ANZAC is short for Australian and New Zealand Army Corps, and it's on this day where we remember all the fallen and current Australian troops who have fought for Australia in any major campaign or military initiative. World War One, World War Two, Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, among other wars. Um, and we all gather to remember those who have fallen to protect Australia. Um, and the reason why we hold Anzac Day on April 25th is because on April 25th, 1915, Australia was involved in its first major military initiative when we sent some of our troops to the Gallipoli Peninsula in modern day Turkey, but back then it would have been the Ottoman Empire. And it was significant because it was our first major military operation as a nation. And despite the heavy casualties of the Gallipoli campaign, it was regarded as our baptism of fire moment, our first major involvement in a world war. And um, obviously, on Anzac Day, we remember those who have fought in Gallipoli, but we also remember um, former and current servicemen in this country and servicewomen and everyone who has served to defend Australia and to maintain peace and liberty in peacekeeping operations around the world as well. Anyone involved within the military, anyone who has sacrificed their lives for this country. And, it's a very important day in the Australian calendar. In fact, I'll argue it's perhaps the most important day in the Australian calendar. And obviously, there's the Dawn Memorial Service. Now, I didn't go to the Dawn Memorial Service, unfortunately, but I did watch portions of it at home. And there's also, I believe there's another service being held around this time, actually. There's an evening service. I don't know if it's still going on, but I know it's in the late evening. And there were Anzac marches today through the city. And it's really nice to see a lot of people gather around and to see all these veterans out. Because it's not really much I don't want to use the incorrect term, but it's a day of remembrance. I think that's how it should be viewed, obviously. It's kind of like Remembrance Day in the US. It's a day of remembrance. And we do we do observe Remembrance Day here in Australia. I should not say the term I was going to say, which is quote unquote celebrate. I don't like to use that term when it comes to stuff like this because it's a day of reflection. That's a more appropriate term. And I guess if you're unfamiliar with the concept of Anzac Day, if you're like, yet again, not from Australia, then I guess that'll be the appropriate term to use, reflection. Same way that you, I guess, reflect on November the 11th, Remembrance Day, or when you have a very important, I guess, day to remember where a lot of people sacrifice their lives, and it gives you that day to reflect upon the men and women and everyone who has helped to build up this country in terms of our military, in terms of defending our country and defending peace and liberty. And obviously, I'm not like a major, I guess, historian or anything like that, but I do understand a bit of Australia's history in relation to our military engagements, more specifically World War II and World War One, the World Wars, and those involved heavy Australian losses. Most of our troops were deployed in, I believe, North Africa. We were heavily involved in North Africa during World War II, and you know, some parts of the Middle East. I believe that's what we were mostly taught about in schools. Although Australian troops did serve in like the Commonwealth, so they would have fought in like other battles as well, but mostly like North Africa area. Um, and yeah, I guess Anzac Day. It's one of the only. I think it's one of the only 2 days of the year where the game Two Up is allowed. It's Anzac Day and Remembrance Day, so April 25th and November the 11th. Which, for those who don't know, it's a gambling game where you toss two pennies or two coins into the air, and before the coins land, you basically make a bet on if you think the coin has heads or tails. Now, I don't recommend you do this because um, the game here in Australia is only legal on 2 days of the year. That is April 25th and November the 11th. Um, all other days of the year, it is illegal. So do not play the game of Two Up in any, I guess, Australian place or anywhere in Australia on besides those 2 dates, because I'm not a lawyer or anything, but I think it's like common knowledge amongst most Australians that the game of Two Up is illegal for most days of the year except on Anzac Day and Remembrance Day. Obviously, this isn't legal advice or anything, but I thought I'd mention it because it's quite an interesting bit. And you know, obviously Australian soldiers, I believe they used to play that game. I forgot what it was. Maybe it was World War One or World War Two. Um, but the game, I think, has been around for a while. But yeah, always check, I guess, the rules and regulations on where you can do it. But um, yeah, so and apparently it's also illegal to call Anzac biscuits the other term for biscuits relating with C. I'm not going to use in the exact same sentence, but um, and I don't want to seem disrespectful, but it's the thing that um, like. I don't want to seem disrespectful, but the other term for biscuits with the letter C. If you got it in your brain, that's good because you can't call Anzac biscuits um, the word beginning with C, and then O, and then a K. You most probably know what I'm going to, but yeah, I just thought just to maintain, I guess, respect and not to, I guess, take this out of context. You must call, I guess, Anzac biscuits, and I think it's illegal to also use the Anzac name on any other like product because I think it's something weird to do with like a specific clause by the government, and obviously respect as well. So yeah, there's a little, I guess, a few little things about um, the Anzac Day. When it comes, I guess, what can be used with the Anzac name, like Anzac biscuits, the game of Two Up, which is only legal for 2 days of the year, to my knowledge, and obviously why we observe Anzac Day, why we gather on Anzac Day, and yeah, I obviously I pay my sincere gratitude and respect to everyone who has um, fought for our nation, for anyone who's currently in the army or Air Force or Navy right now, or who is deployed overseas. My respect and heart goes out to you, and you know, I think it's a very brave thing, um, you know, to be involved in defending um, Australia and to maintain, um, our nation and our values as a nation. And I wanted to make this video a little bit more, I guess, on the serious side, but a little bit more on the informative side because I might know that there might be a lot of people watching this who might not know what Anzac Day is because they're from overseas, and that's perfectly fine. If you're an Australian citizen, you should obviously know what Anzac Day is. But if you're overseas, then um, if you're not from a country like New Zealand or the UK, you might not be fully, I guess, familiar with. So yeah, basically Anzac Day is one of our days of remembrance. Even though we should be remembering our soldiers every single day, So, but Anzac Day is a nice. Um, I guess it's a very moving day. It's that one day, one of maybe apart from Remembrance Day, where everyone can gather together. You know, gather on the Anzac March, meet up with veterans, old and new, um, and reflect on some of a lot of the sacrifices that have been made. A lot of sacrifices that have been made for this country. And I guess, you know, um, if you're from a country like the United States or elsewhere in the world, then um, hopefully this has been, I guess, informative, somewhat informative, but you know, that's just what comes from my knowledge. Yet again, I'm not like a major history buff or anything, but I don't need to be, just to know what Anzac Day means and what it is. But it's really interesting Australian history when it comes to our military involvement. You know, Especially in World War One, World War Two, a lot of our personnel were very skilled. Um, and I guess we, as a nation, um, we are a very, very strong nation. And, when it comes to our troops who fought in North Africa, who fought in all these battles, um, in World War One, World War Two, they really sacrificed a lot. And they were some of the best in the Commonwealth, if not maybe one of the best in the Commonwealth. So yeah, that's pretty much nearly all I have to say about it, other than um, spend some time, I guess, today. I'm recording this at night, but maybe spend some time um, tomorrow or next week, or maybe even throughout, I guess, the rest of the year. Or maybe maybe there should be a time frame. It's always, I guess, good to reflect on, the sacrifices that people made every single day. I certainly keep it in my mind nearly often. I wouldn't say every single day, but often about people who are currently defending our nation, the people who have fought for Australia in World War One, World War Two, all these battles and conflicts, especially World War Two, which was one of the bloodiest, and it was just very, very noble sacrifice by so many people, so many Australian soldiers um, who really gave up their lives so we can be here today. And I'm forever thankful for that. Soldiers, nurses, everyone involved in the Australian, I guess, World War II effort. And I guess to, because obviously I don't want to go on for a little too long, but I'll say what I need to. And I guess, if you have something similar to, I guess, Anzac Day in your country, I'd like to hear about it. If you have a day where you reflect on a specific military campaign or initiative, or I guess like a day of remembrance for anything, I'll be very interested to hear about it in the comments. Obviously, US has like Remembrance Day, and same with like most other countries, which is November the 11th, which is November the 11th, 1911. Sorry, not 1911. Sorry, November the 11th, 1918, where World War One ended. Sorry about that. I am so sorry, because I remember November the 11th day of the 11th month, the 11th hour in 1918. So that's when World War One ended, and that's when Remembrance Day is. So yeah, yet again, I'm so sorry I made that little sub, but I corrected myself, and obviously I know World War One was from 1914 to 1918, and yeah, so I guess that's one, I guess, convenient way to know when World War One ended. Um, it helped me a bit in history exams, but I guess it's worthwhile to um, pay attention to one's history, to a country's history, and to observe um, the countless people who have made, I guess, that history, and being a part of our nation's history. So I guess hopefully this video has been informative and somewhat reflective. Obviously reflective. That's the main point. Reflective about you know today's significance. And sorry if I've been stuttering in this video a lot. I've just been trying to keep it very respectful, with choosing how to say things, because I don't want to come off, even though I don't I've been choosing my words, because I don't want to accidentally say ANZAC COOK, you know what I mean, instead of biscuits. They're called ANZAC biscuits. And I've been yet again trying to maintain respect, and I feel like that's what we should do here on ANZAC Day, is to maintain respect. And yet again, I apologize if this seems a little bit different to my other videos, but I thought, since it's ANZAC Day here now, I think it will be the appropriate time to discuss the significance of ANZAC Day to Australian history. And that's all I really have to say. But I guess I will see you guys tomorrow, and take care. And I guess to spend the rest of the day, reflecting about our nation's history and the soldiers, not only of the past, but not only of the past, but also of the present, who has defended and will continue to defend and serve our nation, and the people who have made extreme sacrifices during world wars and all these conflicts, for the benefit of the Australian people, and because they love Australia, and because they were incredibly brave people. Anyway, that's what I have to say, and I'll catch you later. Bye. See ya. Take care.